All right, so how does fact-checking work? There's multiple ways to answer this. If you want to know how to fact-check, that's a bit longer of an answer, and I'd encourage you to look at our Infodemic fact-checking site. It's at infodemic.blog. It shows a bunch of techniques that you can use there. Some of the stuff we'll cover in more detail on MisinfoDay. But I want to deal with the bigger question here, which is how does fact-checking work, right? Like, how does it actually make a difference? Now, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. I think sometimes people think that in order to improve things, every single person has to be out there fact-checking all the time. But the biggest way that fact-checking works is not each individual checking everything. It's when some individuals, when they see misinformation, correct it. It's when they correct it publicly. It's when they correct it in effective ways. So by way of example, early fact-checking of the sort that we now think about wasn't really there to inform the public at all, right? At least about claims, right? The earliest fact-checkers checked the statements of politicians, and the idea wasn't about the claim. The idea was that if a politician was publicly corrected for lying, then they would be less likely to lie. And there were some interesting experiments that showed that was the case. Two researchers, Brendan Nyan and Jason Reifler, mailed out a bunch of letters to randomly selected politicians in 2012, informed them that they were being fact-checked. And then a bunch of politicians they didn't mail those letters to. The politicians that got the letter that said they were being fact-checked were found to be much less likely, right? Much less likely to make inaccurate statements as the politicians who did not receive the letter. Right? So one big way that fact-checking works is if people, especially people that have a reputation, know what they say will be checked, maybe they'll take more care, right, with the truth, take more care with sourcing. We don't really know how big this effect is with average individuals or people with niche followings, but there's a lot of indications it may work in the same way. So early studies showed that when a poster of a hoax on Facebook was corrected by an early commenter, less people shared the story, less people commented. It was more likely to be taken down by that individual as well. So if we want to solve this problem, I think that's the role that fact-checking plays. And my hope in teaching fact-checking is not so much that every single one of you will go out and fact-check everything you read. I mean, that would be absolutely wonderful. But if even a portion of you learn to fact-check and correct the information and misinformation you see in your social circles, my sense is it can have a lot of positive impact, and it may even save lives.